Hi everyone. So we have the first balance patch for Overwatch. Now, these changes were discussed really a couple of weeks ago by the developers, and as expected they have dealt with McCree and Widowmaker. Now, this patch is for PC only right now. PlayStation 4 and Xbox One are going to get this patch along with a large number of fixes at a later time. Essentially, PC gamers are being used to test these changes out before rolling them to the wider community. So what have they changed? Well, McCree's Peacekeeper, the alternate fire, that has had the recovery time, the amount of time before McCree starts reloading, decreased from 0.75 to 0.3 seconds. And bullet damage has been decreased from 70 to 45. And that's around, what, a 30% nerf, maybe a little bit more? Essentially, the developers here are saying McCree was performing too well against all targets, making him feel like a must-pick in many situations. By reducing the damage of his alternate fire, McCree is now significantly weaker against tanks like Roadhog and Reinhardt, but still maintains his lethality against smaller targets like Tracer and Genji. Now, the problem is McCree had become an absolute must-pick, appearing in every single game. At the end of the day, that doesn't exactly create a variety of team play, as it were. A good move, in my opinion. Now, Widowmaker. That awesome long-range sniper that for some people has proved to be a bit tricky to play. So, Widow's Kiss, the alternate fire, the scope shot, the base damage has been decreased from 15 to 12. Note, scope damage multiplier remains unchanged. Headshot damage multiplier has been increased from 2 times to 2.5 times, essentially balancing out the skill shot side of this here. Essentially now, those skill shots hitting people in the head is going to do more damage, potentially bring you up to around the same point that the base damage decrease has removed. Players must now wait for the unscoping animation to complete finishing before rescoping. Infrared sight, the ultimate cost has increased by 10%. Now, for my mind, Widowmaker's ultimate has always been a nice thing to have, but it doesn't make a big difference realistically if you've got a decent team composition anyway. The ultimate's cost increasing by 10% just means it's not going to be popping quite as often. It certainly felt like it was coming up very, very rapidly all of the time. Developers have commented there that in the right hands, Widowmaker can often feel unstoppable, even when she's landing body shots instead of critical headshots. Yeah, I could agree with that. The changes to her alternate fire weakened body shot damage while leaving her headshot damage unchanged. Additionally, we felt her ultimate ability, infrared sight, was coming up a little too frequently, especially considering its impact on the game. Now, there's also some bug fixes gone in here. A few quality of life improvements, you could say. Improved stability of high bandwidth option in custom games. Not too sure what that one's actually doing there, but assume that it has something to do with those of us who have super fast internet connections. Heroes-wise, they fixed a bug that allowed Mercy to gain ultimate charge whenever damage boosting to an ally who was attacking a barrel or an ice wall. It's an interesting little bug, I didn't spot that one myself. Fixed a bug that allowed Reaper to shadow step to unintended locations on certain maps. Fair enough on that one, I'd say. Fixed an issue with collision on certain areas Dorado not blocking line of sight. And that's really all they've done. But the two most important changes there really are to balancing out Widowmaker and McCree, something that really did need to happen reasonably quickly in my opinion. Certainly it needed to go into testing before the ranked play goes live in a couple of weeks' time. So what do you think of these changes to Overwatch? Personally, I've been absolutely adoring Overwatch to death. It is such an amazing game. I'll be bringing you a on-the-fence review, as it were, to help you decide if you're not one of the 10 million people who's already decided to jump in and take part. For my mind, Overwatch is probably the best shooter we have had in 20 years. Yes, 20 years. You'd have to go back to the likes of Quake and Quake 2 to find a game on par with the quality that we are seeing here. It really is outstanding.